Welcome to day 1562 of What's She Up To Now? Tighten Your Belt Financial Story. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. And with COVID-19, I think just about everyone has had or has a tightening their belt, having to cut back, having to do something differently, having to let go of something that they love doing. Prior to that, maybe we didn't all have a tightening our belt story, but definitely with the impact of COVID, I think billions of people now have a story of where they have had to cut back, change things, let people go, stop doing certain things, doing things for themselves that they maybe never even imagined. I think there are millions of parents that never imagined that they would be required to homeschool their kids. I think there are millions of couples that never imagined they would have to spend 24/7 together with their children, basically captive in their own homes for months on end. So that created all kinds of challenges for literally billions of people on the planet. So our idiom, our expression for Supersize Your Business today, we're doing financial ones to coincide with the BU 365-day annual challenge to do one thing every day that improves us. So the financial one today was to tighten your belt. So I shared, I think, 7 or so different ways that we can tighten our belt, that we can cut back, we can be more fiscally wise and smart and responsible than in times when we're not looking at needing to be resourceful. I believe in bootstrapping my businesses, and so I am often having to be resourceful. And it's always more fun to be resourceful than necessarily have to use our own existing resources to do things. Sometimes it's expeditious and we want to do that, but for the most part, I choose not to. I choose to find a way to find the money to do the things that I want to do versus taking out of my cash reserves. So that was our idiom, our expression today. And this is, of course, one of my favorite belts. It's not really my favorite, but we got it from my ex-mother-in-law, and my granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter, absolutely loves this belt. So I save it and I keep it in my jewelry box because she loves to play with it. It's a bunch of butterflies. It doesn't really have your traditional belt loops, but it's got these little hooks that you hook the hook on in order to make the belt smaller. And she likes it because not only can I wear it, but she can wear it too. And I think she thinks that that's really, really fun. And guess what? It kind of is. Plus, it's got cute little silver butterflies on it. Who doesn't love butterflies? Except my sister. My one sister is afraid of bugs, and that includes butterflies. All bugs. She doesn't like any bugs. So tighten your belt. I would love to hear your stories of how you got creative, got and thought and had fun ways and different ways of cutting back, tightening your belt, dealing with the stress and the trials and tribulations and all the different things that came up because of COVID, and going from our normal day-to-day activities to boom, shut down overnight, to, hey, you're at home, this is what you're going to do now. And going from 2 weeks to a month to 2 more months to 3 months to 6 months to, even in December of 2021, we were still experiencing lockdowns and things. And I think even into 2022, there are areas that are still trying to manipulate and pull that nonsense off. And that's exactly what I call it, manipulate and pull that nonsense off, because as a person that is more susceptible and more has health challenges that would be in a higher age group, I admit it, and concerned about my health, it's my personal responsibility to separate myself and do what's right for my health and my level of concern. If I am, and I learned this from my sister. My sister is a cancer survivor. She had really rare leukemia, but the one kind that's actually curable. And so for years, she has had to be very careful about germs and crowds and everything else. Then I would have taken a lesson out of her playbook and behaved the way she does for myself, not impacting the entire global population, the population that's most susceptible. And instead, I think history will show we did just the opposite. And because of that, we killed a lot of elderly people that didn't need to die. That's, again, my opinion. So I'm not going to get on the COVID topic because I'm sure I would be erased and canceled online if I say anything that goes against the current narrative on COVID, politics, or anything else. So I'm not going to. And it doesn't really matter with respect to my personal beliefs versus how I serve and how I show up in the world. I'm all about making the world a better place, and that's my purpose in life. It isn't to cause more drama and trauma. It's definitely not to change anyone's beliefs about anything. It's up to each and every one of us to take personal responsibility and think for ourselves and decide what is right for us and what is not. So today we talked about, in the annual challenge, we're hopping into the SOAP framework, my personal favorite framework since the pandemic began. One of my responses to the pandemic was to say, okay, what can I do to help people through this and make a positive difference in the world? And so I created it started out as it was a short, really short, 5 to 7 day challenge originally. And I'm like, nope, that's not enough. During the pandemic, if we're going to be locked up for months on end, I'm going to do a 30-day challenge. So I started a 30-day to teach the SOAP framework so that I could equip as many people as possible with an automatic process for dealing with changes and challenges. And for a lot of us, changes and challenges were hitting us daily or dozens or hundreds of times a day when the COVID pandemic hit. And the vast majority of the population was probably not equipped for it. I thought I was pretty equipped for it, and I still found that I was reeling in a lot of different ways. And so I was like, well, what am I doing? How am I handling these changes and challenges? What process am I using? And I realized I was using a 4-step process. And if I wrote down the steps and thought of different words that described those steps, I came up with SOAP. And SOAP was absolutely positively perfect for the pandemic because I was washing my hands like all the time, all day long. Now, being in the food industry, I always wash my hands like 30 or so times a day or more. I always have the little finger cuts from washing my hands so much. So SOAP just seemed quite fitting for my acronym for the change and challenge process that we can install in our subconscious to make change and challenges automatically better for us, whether we're thinking about them consciously or not. But we can use the same framework on a conscious level when we need to think through the steps of a change or a challenge, a bigger change or a challenge in our life, not just the automatic, where am I going to eat lunch? What am I going to make for dinner, etc. questions and challenges. The what's for dinner one has never been a challenge for me, but one of my sisters hates to cook, and with her son home because college was shut down, and her husband, every day she still had to come up with something to cook for dinner. And so that's a challenge for a lot of people. Millions of people, I'm sure, struggle with not liking to cook. And what am I going to cook for dinner given that we're stuck at home and the restaurants are closed until the restaurants started doing, pickup, curbside pickup and things. So we're storyboarding is our tool today to identify our financial story. We're identifying our current story versus our desired story for a problem or a challenge, a financial related challenge that we want to address. And we're applying the SOAP framework to it. The first step in it is story. So we're storyboarding in order to determine that. This is one of my previous storyboards for financial. And this was when we had storm damage and I wanted to have the money for the repairs associated with storm damage. Now, if I look back, probably wasn't enough. I only was doing 10K. Lesson learned, right? We don't always estimate the right amount when we come up with a short-term goal and objective. And we have to be willing to be flexible to change then what we're doing. So this time, we got a family wedding in Texas in November. And so I'm like, okay, I want to find $6,000+ so that I can take the whole family to Texas to do that. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to use the SOAP framework this week and share how I'm going about that. All right. If I can help you in any way, hit me up. I've got a really busy schedule this week. So let me know. I will still honor my 5-minute guarantee. If you are stuck on something and you've thought about it and you've looked at it and you're just not sure what to do, I guarantee that if we chat for 5 minutes or less, and we can do it over Voxer or direct message, etc., I guarantee that within 5 minutes, you will know what to do next. Not all of the things you need to do to solve all the problems in your life, but the next thing that you need to do. And I offer that because I remember some of my most frustrating times when I left corporate America and I didn't have my awesome team initially set up that I inherited when I was in corporate America. It was definitely more challenging and stressful to have to figure stuff out on my own. And it was, before the internet. So the internet wasn't a big thing where you could just go ask Quora or Jeeves or who's ever the question, or Google it or YouTube it. You had to figure it out yourself. So different era, but really served me well to have some mentors and people that I could call upon. And I want to be that resource for you. All right. Have an awesome day. I will be with you tomorrow.